So, fans of horror games are absolutely feasting right now. But as we've only all got a limited time to play thanks to this stupid mortal body that we have, here are the ones that you definitely need to make time for in the near future. So let's have a chat. I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are the top 10 horror games you need to be playing right now. Number 10, 10 Dead Doves. 10 Dead Doves lovingly homages the most iconic survival horror games of the PS1 era, such as Resident Evil and Silent Hill, with its retro-styled visuals, fixed camera angles, and yes, tank controls. Set in the eerie Appalachian wilderness, the game follows two backpackers, Mark and Sean, who set off in search of a mythical location known as the Ant Farm. Gameplay primarily consists of exploration and puzzle solving, though unlike some other games on this list, there's no combat to speak of. Yet, intense chase sequences, well-placed jump scares, and an overall eerie atmosphere keep 10 Dead Doves' pulse quickening from start to finish, and it's aided by the unsettling throwback visuals, pitch-perfect sound design, and a gorgeous musical score. Though PS1-flavored survival horror is very in right now, this is at least one of the more diverting and memorable examples, and with a playtime of only around 5 to 6 hours, you could even get through it in one creepy late-night sitting. Number 9, The Outlast Trials. The third game in the Outlast franchise is a prequel with co-op multiplayer focus, and while this absolutely ran the risk of robbing the series of its signature heart-pounding thrills, that's thankfully not the case. The Outlast Trials takes place in the Cold War, and thrusts players into the role of test subjects who are forced to take part in a series of rather grotesque experiments. Scrambling around in the dark, carefully managing resources and avoiding dangerous enemies, it's all pretty classic Outlast, albeit with some new wrinkles, such as the ability to throw objects to distract or disable foes. While having 3 pals along for the ride slightly dilutes the overall fear factor, it also amps up the sense of fun. All the same, those who would prefer to play solo are absolutely free to do that. The Outlast Trials could have felt like a cynical mess in the wrong hands, but thankfully it proves itself to be a nerve-wrackingly snug fit for the co-op treatment, while serving up the same icky sense of atmosphere that was perfected by the mainline games. Number 8. Home Safety Hotline. If you're in the market for a bite-sized horror puzzler, look no further than the terrific Home Safety Hotline. In this game, players work for the titular outfit, where they're tasked with assisting callers who have issues with their homes, ranging from the mundane to the rather supernatural. Home Safety Hotline takes place entirely on a faux computer interface as players dig through a database of information to provide callers with the correct solutions to their problems. Seeing the outcome of your research, success or fail, is tremendously entertaining and often darkly hilarious, aided by the game's superbly authentic 90s analog tech aesthetic. It's far from the scariest game on this list, but Home Safety Hotline is one of the most creative horror romps of the last 5 years, and at just 2 hours in length, it definitely doesn't outstay its welcome even by a second. Number 7. Sorry We're Closed. At first glance, Sorry We're Closed might look like yet another survival horror throwback with fixed camera angles, but this neon-splashed, genre-bending outing offers so much more than that. Players assume the role of Michelle, a woman who fights to break a curse placed on her by a powerful archdemon. This all happened to us, right? While exploring London, you're able to interact with and help the local citizens, but soon enough, you'll also have to start killing demons. What differentiates Sorry We're Closed from its obvious genre inspiration is its distinct, intentionally garish aesthetic and the fact that combat causes a sudden shift from third-person to first-person perspective. This ensures that for as obviously nostalgic for the genre's heyday as it is, this game also offers its own unmistakable stamp, complete with memorable characters of uncommon depth. Number 6. Crow Country. Yes, it's another PS1-styled horror game, but it's also another really good one. Crow Country is an unapologetically warts-and-all love letter to the late 90s survival horror, as players investigate a creepy abandoned theme park following the disappearance of its founder. As you'd likely expect, the game is centered primarily around exploration, puzzling, and combat. You'll need to fill your inventory with all manner of weird doodads and backtrack aplenty, because would it really be a true 90s survival horror homage otherwise? Combat is meanwhile deliberately awkward, even intentionally unsatisfying, with the clunkiness of fighting the game's monsters ultimately only enhancing the anxious tension. Crow Country is a welcome peer back over the shoulder at the building blocks of the genre as we know it, and one that's tirelessly committed to replicating the style and tone of these early entries, perhaps even to a fault. Number 5. Mouthwashing. Now, Mouthwashing is a game you really need to play right now, as in even before you watch this entry. We'll keep things vague just in case, but just know that Mouthwashing is a first-person horror game following 5 crew members of a freighter spaceship who've become stranded after it crashes. Mouthwashing combines a beguilingly non-linear narrative with a disarming low-poly style that's reminiscent of early 3D games to throw players totally off balance. Although this isn't a challenging game in the slightest, the intensity of the atmosphere and sheer unpredictability of its story make it one of the most unsettling horror titles of recent years. And with a mere 3-hour playtime, there is not an ounce of fat on it. This is a rich, lean experience that gets in, does its skin-crawlingly eerie thing, and then gets out before it can even begin to outstay its welcome. Number 4. Hollowbody. Hollowbody offers up something that you probably never even knew you wanted, a mashup of Blade Runner and Silent Hill 2. Oh yeah. In a dystopian future, players explore an abandoned British city as Mika, a black market shipper who was seeking out her missing partner who's vanished. Even though Hollowbody opens with flying cars and towering cityscapes, the moment-to-moment gameplay is mostly reminiscent of Silent Hill 2, jogging down dingy corridors and being assailed by creatures that are waiting in the dark. The use of a dynamic camera also helps the game stand out from all of the other retro horror homages that we're discussing, going past the PS1 to the PS2 era in this case. Immaculate cyberpunk spiced world building and atmosphere combines winningly with just challenging enough gameplay that's got little interest in browbeating the player or wasting their time with pointless repetition. At around 4 to 5 hours in length, Hollowbody is a breezy but memorable sit that makes a concerted effort to distinguish itself in a crowded genre space. Number 3. Echostasis. Echostasis is the latest offering from Enigma Studio, the deranged geniuses behind Mothered and the Enigma Machine. A dizzying sci-fi horror first-person shooter, Echostasis pits players as an administrator who is tasked with delving into the algorithmically created dreamlike utopias of several individuals in order to get to the bottom of a cyber attack. Now, only by exploring, solving puzzles, and battling your way through each world with an array of weaponry can you hope to rescue each of the dreamers. It goes without saying that this game is, like its predecessors, absolutely unreal from a stylistic perspective. Taking the 80s VHS aesthetic and contorting it into nightmarish dreamscapes ensures that Echostasis is a game that looks and feels like no other in recent memory. If you're craving a horror outing to really bake your noodle and have you question the nature of your very existence, well, this is just the ticket. Number 2. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is one of the most mesmerizing video game sequels in recent years, regardless of the genre. It's also an especially fascinating case given that the original Alan Wake was more of an action-adventure game with fringe horror elements, while this sequel is a full-on survival horror experience. Alan Wake 2's eye-wateringly beautiful visuals combine with an unhinged fourth-wall-breaking narrative to deliver an atmosphere that is thicker than bloody oatmeal. Basically, everything here marks a serious step up from its somewhat uneven predecessor, yet developer Remedy also resist the temptation to make this self-consciously grim or overtly serious. That is to say, Alan Wake 2's self-referential flourishes are great fun and even goofy at times, and they help to keep the overall tone balanced on an even keel. Whether you love the original game or are entirely new to the IP, Alan Wake 2 is a prime rib AAA horror ride you must take. And number 1, Slay the Princess. Slay the Princess is another horror game that is best played as blindly as possible. A playfully effed up visual novel of sorts, the game tasks players not with rescuing the titular damsel in distress, but killing her amid the belief that her escape will cause the end of the world. Yet Slay the Princess has some head-spinning narrative tricks up its sleeve, primed to repeatedly pull the rug out from under the player in a gleefully twisted meta manner. We're being vague here for good reason, but just know that developer Black Tabby Games delivers a devilishly subversive riff on the Save the Princess title, abetted by outstanding writing, peerless voice acting, and eye-wateringly gorgeous art direction. And with its branching narrative web packed to the gills with unique outcomes for players to unlock, it's absolutely a game that will have you returning to dig deep into its many storytelling variations. And there we have it, my friends. Those were the top 10 horror games you need to be playing right now. Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome, my friends. Never forget that. And why not follow me over on the social medias where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there, my friend. Big love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.